Welcome, Laura, to the next House Advisors Live. I'm excited to have you here with me. For those who are tuning in, I'm here with Laura Boyer, who's the founder of Black Bean Industrial Marketing. And yeah, I'm just excited to dig into her whole journey and the things that she's learned along the way. Um, Laura, can you tell folks a little bit more about yourself and about Black Bean?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. So myself, wow, bit of a convoluted journey, but essentially I am now the founder and owner of Black Bean Industrial Marketing. We're a B2B marketing agency that is based in British Columbia, Canada, and we work with industries that might have a brand perception issue, such as manufacturing, mining, chemical. And that's what we do here. Just for context, the accent here in Norris is Swiss. I moved all over the world, spent about 10 to 15 years in China, and I live in Canada now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That's a really interesting type of marketing that you're in, really interesting type of agency that you've founded. I'd love to learn a little bit more about like why industrial marketing, like what made you venture into the agency world in general, but also like what made you land in that particular niche.
What made me venture into the agency world was probably frustration with other agencies that I was witnessing at the time during just my training and growing up in agency world, and frustration with how the teams are being treated or taken for granted, and also frustration with the lack of value delivered and really taking clients seriously and being held accountable. So that was probably my main motivation for going out on my own, is providing a different experience of working for all those who come in contact. So it can be team members, it can be clients, partners, providers, just, I guess, the desire to do better. The reason why we chose to go with industrial marketing is I feel that sector is largely ignored by the agency world, which is great because we have less competitors.
Yeah.
But also gives us the opportunity of trying new things, trying to provide a better marketing experience for a lot of those decision makers that have been ignored by marketing. There is also the factor I found communications tends to be a lot more straightforward, and there's less beating around the bush. And if you know anything about German, Dutch, or Swiss people, we don't have much of a filter. And so I think it really suits my communication style. I have trouble doing the whole politically correct talk or small talk. I get straight into it, which can come across as abrasive a lot of the times. But working with industrial leaders is the type of communication that they're very accustomed to and very familiar with.
Nice. I definitely resonate with that. I have a German and Dutch background, so I've always wondered why I maybe sometimes come across as cold, even though like I don't think I'm a cold person or anything like that, but sometimes it just comes across that way. Well,
I've been trained by my Canadian team. They have required that I add at least 2 exclamation points per email, so to soften my tone.
that's hilarious. Yeah, I know it's true. It makes it even harder when you're writing because you can't read any sort of intent with writing. So, yeah, definitely, I'm guilty of extra exclamation points and emojis and things like that in my emails just to try to compensate for that. Well, I mean, can you tell me a little bit more about kind of what the journeys looked like, like choosing uh, that niche, and maybe kind of some of um, the mistakes, the learnings, the lessons you've learned along the way?
Many mistakes. Choosing the niche came after reading the Win Without Pitching manifesto. which I'm sure you're familiar with. And doing an audit of all of our clients, really wanting to move away from being a generalist agency and having to continuously reinvent the wheel and relearn a new industry. So we audited all of our clients at the time. That was about 3-4 years ago. We audited all of our clients and looked at where did we make an impact, where did we make money, quite frankly, and where did we have fun. And then we started drawing patterns around like the clients that fulfilled all three conditions, or at least two of them. And we started seeing more of a blue collar pattern emerge. And so that's when we said that feels right. B2B, it's a longer sales cycles. It allows us to get more embedded into the client's operations and really be a partner in their growth. And so that was the initial process to get there. Obviously, it's been refined over the years. We're still refining. We're probably still going to be refining in 10 years' time. If I'm honest, the decision to do it was right. The way I did it and the timing of it was completely wrong. So don't do what
Hmm.
I did. If any of your listeners are agency owners or thinking about going on their own and starting an agency, learn from my mistakes. Consider the greater environment. So we positioned in January 2021. And because I don't half-ass anything, I decided to flip the switch and to change our entire messaging and image and branding overnight. That was the wrong thing to do. Don't go, don't flip the switch. I did not consider the fact that we were in the middle of COVID, in the border between Canada and the US stayed closed longer than anyone had expected. They went until
Hmm.
November 2021. Our largest customer base at that time was in Canada, and all manufacturers in Canada could not go to the US to visit their clients. Therefore, they had no money to spend in marketing whatsoever.
Hmm.
Uh, a second mistake was to flip the switch like that just overnight, and we lost all referral power. And
Hmm.
when we know that a lot of agencies grow through referral, that was tough because we cut ourselves at the knees, or I cut my agency at the knees. And SEO takes a while, marketing takes a while to start gaining momentum. Um, Not being able to rely on those referrals, that was difficult. It was a rough 8 months until marketing started doing its job, and then we started having inbound leads.
Yeah. But that can take some time, and doing things, flipping that switch really quickly can definitely leave you kind of having to scramble to
Oh, yeah.
catch up.
I
Yeah.
have learned. Take your
Yeah.
time. You can make a decision. It doesn't mean you have to implement it overnight.
Well, yeah, and you can kind of gradually update things, so it seems like much more of a gradual process, almost like it transforms, but nobody really could point to one time that it actually changed. It's just like over time, it just became something else,
Exactly.
more gradually. That makes a lot of sense. Um, well, you mentioned referrals. You mentioned some inbound leads. What have you found most effective for growing your client base overall?
Going to trade shows,
Yeah.
especially in our clients' industries. Trade shows is where everyone gathers, where information is exchanged, where new connections are made. We have a pretty aggressive in-person strategy. So I actually just came back from Savannah, Georgia on Friday, where I was at the Specialty and Agrochemicals America trade show, which was a great one. Shout out to them. They did a fantastic job. And, when you come back with just a stack of cards and really meaningful connections, people wanting to have further conversations, that I have found is our most effective lead gen. Another good tool is just webinars hosted by industry associations. So we have a lot of partnerships with manufacturing associations or chemical associations, and being able to do kind of a hosted or co-branded webinar with them. Um, all of their members already have the trust of the association, and we come in as a trusted thought leader. I think this is huge for us. I'm sure in other niches, you don't need to do that much thought leadership. SEO doesn't really work for us. A lot of the time, the decision makers don't know that there is such a thing as agencies specialized in industrial marketing, so they don't look for it.
Hmm. That makes sense. Can you maybe unpack that? You mentioned like you have kind of a pretty robust event marketing approach that you kind of take with things. I mean, you listed some things, but are there any other things? I'm sure other agencies out there who are looking to do their events but do them better would love any sort of insights you have around that.
Absolutely. The first step would be to figure out exactly which events are worth it. We have landed on sort of a medium-sized type of event. The biggest ones in the US, for instance, it's gonna be hard because everyone's busy. Not many people wanna talk to someone from a marketing agency that's just walking the floor. So really be very clear about who your audience is and if they are going to be at those trade shows. In the past, we've made the mistake of going to trade shows where it was a majority of salespeople or engineers, and they don't have that much to do with marketing. Um,
Hmm.
the reason I mentioned this last week's trade show as one of the better one is because we were able to identify that a large number of CMOs or marketing managers or marketing director were going to be in that role. And because we know that these are primary target audience within the companies we target, that made sense for us. And the formats was, I almost want to say human sized. It's not like 6,000 attendees, but at the same time, it's not 50 attendees in like a third of a ballroom. Another good thing to do is start posting about it very early. LinkedIn's our platform of choice. So start announcing that you're going to go to the trade show. That will actually make the rounds, especially if you tag the shows.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the shows will tell you either who's exhibiting, um, but in that particular show, they actually gave us the full list of attendees ahead of time, which was fantastic. You can already start reaching out on LinkedIn, making connections, if possible, making appointments to meet for a coffee, a drink, breakfast, whatever. The core or the most meaningful parts of the connection always happens off the trade show floor. It's not gonna be on the floor when they have their own booth to mans. They have way too much to do. They don't wanna talk to you,
Right.
but if you're able to find those that's true, like, no one wants to talk to you. I've got stuff to do. Stop
Yeah.
myself from swearing. Um, so really being able to have I've had so many great conversations just at the hotel bar or, on the ferry going or at breakfast. So and then obviously there is the follow-up and making sure that none of those leads fall between the cracks. I'm sure we all have CRMs, but don't wait too long. Every night I would come back to the hotel and I would spend 30 minutes just reaching out to everyone I had connected with that day, thanking them, delivering on whatever I said. We have a lot of industry reports. For instance, we built big marketing benchmarks for the chemical industry. So that's actually a great way to get in because then they see us providing value from the get-go. You're not immediately going in with an ask. You're starting with providing value.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you have any opinions on, I mean, there's attending a trade show, then there's having a booth at a trade show, and then there's sponsoring it. Like, do you feel like you need to do all of those things or only some of those things? Any opinions there?
We've only attended so far to see how it goes. I think the next step for us will be to exhibit because people get first, stop at your booth. Sponsoring is a bit tricky. I would probably only sponsor if I were given a speaker opportunity
That makes a lot of sense.
because the sponsorship is just okay, unless you're sponsoring drinks and you get to be there. I think sponsorship is great for brand awareness. I think there are other avenues for brand awareness that might be cheaper than sponsoring a trade show.
Yeah, seriously. Well, what backing up a little bit, we talked about acquiring customers, what about, a lot of clients are always trying to, or a lot of agencies are always trying to figure out, what's the best things that I can be doing to help um, retain my clients and just make sure that my clients have a good ongoing, uh, good experience, and so that I can retain them. How do you approach that in your agency?
Our philosophy is to continue as you've started. So I'm typically the first point of contact, primarily in the dev and sales role. If clients or prospective clients have a really good experience talking with me in those initial stages, things should not completely fall off the cliff the moment I transfer them over to the team,
Hmm.
because that's a bit of a jarring experience. So really making sure that the company values the way we do things around here um, continues all through the client relationship. Another way of doing it is we have a fantastic project manager, Tamara Weber, who's excellent at communicating and flagging issues before they even become issues. So we never have any kind of point of contention. Um, our, I think it's the delight part of the marketing. Um, we continuously look for ways to add value, but also to entertain and just have fun, like actually become friends with your clients if you can. We tend to have a small client base, no more than 12 at any given time. It's perfect for the size of our team. That also allows me to remember everybody's like which teams they support, So Canada tragically lost in the final series of the Stanley Cup, but all of my hockey fan clients were getting touch points about hockey. Can take it also out of the work that you're doing together and go and reach the person behind the company or behind the account. That's one thing we do. I also try and devote my Friday afternoons of just picking up the phone and calling clients and just saying, "Hey, how's it going? How you doing?" And we talk. And because it's a more relaxed setting, they feel more free of telling me if something's not going right. Um, that's what one way we found of keeping clients.
Yeah, those are all great insights. Well, related to that, there's going to these trade shows to meet new potential clients. There's some of these things you've mentioned around retaining them. But do you have a any thoughts on kind of the best way to approach sales and lead generation?
I see more as business development rather than lead generation. It's just building relationships, not approach it from the perspective, I want to make a sale. It's more of a perspective of can I help this person in their role? Sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. When you can't, you've made a great connection, and who knows, maybe down the road, they will refer you to someone else who you can help. So just being very clear about what your service offering is, um, thought leadership, continuously posting about things that keeps them up at night. It's all about making it about them all the time. With regards to sales, I'm probably not as aggressive as I should be. Um, I take it from an approach of if you want to work with me, it's going to happen. But if you don't, I'm not going to chase you around for it and pursue you aggressively. It doesn't make for a good relationship. I really want the ongoing clients agency relationship to be more of a partnership. So on an equal level, as opposed to being seen like a supplier or provider or just someone you can give orders to. So by approaching it from I am providing value, we are seen as equal, that avoids the goal, do this, do that. You can go on Upwork for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Well, and the last thing I wanted to ask is around kind of the final piece of that whole puzzle is like when you're successful with sales, marketing, you're acquiring all these clients, um, naturally you're going to have to add to your team. And how do you think about attracting, retaining, and just having top talent in your agency so that you can do good work for your clients?
That's actually one of my favorite topics, so thank you for that. Um, because in terms of attracting, um, I have a very transparent policy with my entire team, and that comes to like everything we display. Um, we don't really have like a top button. It's more of a flat hierarchy to go, and everyone has a voice at the table. And I think that shows in everything we say and everything we do. I'm never going to go around thinking I'm the smartest person in the room. We also have I met I'm Swiss, so I think Europeans do things a little bit differently when it comes to the workplace. Maybe a bit more work-life balance. So we have a very generous PTO policy. I've actually had to mandate office closures because my team was not, my North American team was not taking holidays, so I had to force it on them. We are based on output versus inputs. I think it's just I'm trying to make them happy all the time. I think happy employees do better work.
Yeah,
We have,
absolutely.
we have things like summer hours. So from I think it's Canada Day, which is July 1st, all the way to Labor Day. Which one is the one in September? Remind me. Is it Memorial Labor Day?
Oh no, I think it's Labor Day, but you
We
caught
we
me.
you
I
know
don't
we
know.
stop at 12 p.m. on Fridays, so you can have your Friday afternoons off and just really enjoy gorgeous weather. We do not answer emails over the weekends unless there's a true emergency. I don't email my team on the weekends. I really respect that when they are off work, they are off work. I
Yeah,
might
I
send
think
some
that's
TikTok
huge.
videos, but
Yeah, you basically know work is being done over the
yep,
weekends.
yep.
No, I like that. I appreciate that. Well, this has been super great getting to know you and about your learning more about your agency and kind of your journey along the way. What's the best way for people to follow up with you, connect with you, and learn more about Blackbean industrial marketing?
I'm always on LinkedIn, so you can find me by looking for Laura Boyer. If you want to reach out directly to me, my email address is laura@blackbeanmarketing.com. You can also check out our website, blackbeanmarketing.com. Um, I even sometimes answer Instagram DMs, so you can go ahead there and look for Blackbean Marketing.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining me, and I'm looking forward to hearing back from people who watch this. I feel like there's a lot of really great value you shared, so thank you for that.
Thank you, David.